Discuss Infinity coming to you from closingprint.com on March 22nd, 2015. In this video, we'll cover the obvious indices at all-time highs, tick, Q, and trend. We'll also talk about breadth currencies, with the US dollar moving off of the 100 level, and bonds, as well as news coming out of Europe. We'll also take a look at some setups and the IBD50. There's a new list out this week. So let's take a look at the indices. The spiders are right inside of this volume by price bar. We touched the upper Bollinger Band, standard deviation 1, that we can see here and further in this thumbnail, and moved off of that level late Friday. And we're above all of the moving averages. Here's the 10 period, the pink line moving higher. Note the size of the candles. We had some very large up days followed by alternating down days. And it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect that we might see the same, considering slow stow is in overbought or caution territory. MACD could continue to move higher. So we'll have to monitor this going into early in the week. Note the volume was pretty impressive on Wednesday and Friday. And here is the spider 30-minute chart. You can see how we trailed off late in the day on Friday. Levels that we have below, volume by price. We held right at the 10 period EMA. Looking at MACD, we have a cross, and on our slow stow, we're watching these levels as we triggered on the 5-1, but we haven't on the 14-1. So we'll be watching this going into Monday. Looking at the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index, 2,000 stocks, we pointed out for some time this multiple level here that we could see as a top. Certainly we could break above this level, but we'll go over why we think that might be a little difficult at the present time. On Friday we talked about the possibility of a MAD, a major accumulation day, 90% up volume. That dissipated down to 5.51 on Friday. This is the last time we saw a major accumulation day, and that was back in mid-December. The S&P 400 mid-cap index, note we're outside the right at the upper Bollinger Band. We are in the caution territory on slow stow, and MACD gave us a cross last week. So mid-caps continue to assist the S&P 500 and the 1500 composite on its move higher. Now if we look at the small caps, we can see the same scenario. The Russell outside the upper Bollinger Band, and slow stow is in caution territory. MACD continues to move higher. It's above its signal line. Looking at the S&P small cap 600 outside the upper Bollinger Band and in caution territory here as well on slow stow. And of course the comp looks the same. We had a nice pop above all-time highs, so we're looking really good here on the comp. Some huge volume on Friday. MACD cross, however slow stow is overbought and in caution territory, so I'd be a little cautious on taking longs. So we'd like to see a better edge on our setups going into the week. And the main reason why we feel that way is because VIX is at a level that we've previously seen tops. Note the lows here in VIX on the top panel. When we got down into the 1152 range, not quite down there yet, but a little bit higher, and we could be witnessing a top or an area to be more cautious. So that's what we're playing for presently on the VIX. Looking at VXN, we're at lows here, typically seen near tops. We like to see a spike denoting a low, and that gives us a better indication for a long when we see spikes like this. Presently we're in the opposite range, so we're looking for a top soon, at least consolidation at this point. So let's take a look at VXX. Same thing here on the S&P 500 short-term VIX futures. We're at lows, and typically at these lows is where we see a top short-term, move off of it a few days, consolidate, and get ready for a move higher. VXV risk event indicator is down here below 0.078, and typically an area where we see tops in the past, as you can see here in this red zone. So that's what we're anticipating for Monday, Tuesday, going into the week, so keep that in mind when you start new trades. Let's take a look at the sectors, and what we're focused on here is that slow stow in almost every sector except for materials is in overbought territory here. Caution, caution, caution. Note XBI is already turned down. Really ugly candle on Friday. Huge volume. Materials, obviously we got some room here, continuing to move higher, but we're right below the 50-period moving average, and the 20 is turning over. XLE is just below 80. XLF looking a little better. Chart-wise, moving along the upper Bollinger Band above this volume by price level. So financials are looking a little bit better. Note where we are related to slow stow. XLI, same thing. XLK, been a leader for some time, along with XLV. All of these are in caution territory, so just keep that in mind going into the week. As for bulls thinking that we're going to break out to new highs, it's possible, but I'd rather see all of the sectors down here below 20, and we were approaching the highs presently, so that we had a lot of setups pushing behind this move to the upside. Currently, I think we're either going to consolidate sideways or move off of the highs after testing recent highs back in February. And one more shot at the S&P 500. I just wanted to note that we're near those highs that we saw in February, and breadth continues to move higher. We are starting to get into an area where this could reverse, so just keep that in mind. Also, if we look at NIMO, one thing I noted was, note that when we had these nice moves in late summer and also in the fall, how much the breadth really expanded nicely, and how we've gradually just tapered off to almost nothing now. The last couple of shots at positive breadth, I've seen these little tiny toothpicks picking up above the zero line. So that's something of a concern, and just something I happen to observe. It's not a prediction, it's just what I'm seeing here on the NIMO chart. And of course the summation index we do have a cross, so for the bulls this is a feather in your cap. We'll see how this plays out this week on NYSE. Let's take a look at commodities for a moment. Note that copper broke above a previous high that it put in February. We are changing trends. From this downtrend, note the moving averages are now above the medium-term averages. So we have the 10-period EMA above the 20, and both are above the 50. So let's keep an eye on copper, because that could be a feather in the bull's cap and could start to point towards improving construction numbers. Gold, we noted that we saw this November low hold recently. In March we bounced, so we have something of a double bounce. We have this volume by price congestion to deal with. We'll start hitting that level in the very near future, as well as a 50-period moving average up here at the upper Bollinger Band. Silver looks pretty similar. Let's take a look at that. A quadruple bottom, spread quadruple bottom, and we could get above this volume by price congestion area right here around 1675, 1650, and then we could start to move higher once we get past the 50 period moving average. But the moving averages for the most part are moving sideways, so just keep that in mind if you're interested in trading silver. And we are overbought on slow stow. And of course, light sweet crude, WTIC. Looks like we're building a base here. Nice sideways range. Looks like we could run back up to this level here in the near future. Upper Bollinger Band. Moving averages have stopped it decelerating to the downside and are moving sideways now. So we'll look for the 10 period moving average to turn back up and price to get back above that before we get bullish. Slow stow is starting to get into the overbought zone. So we could see more of this sideways base building over the next several weeks. So looking at the US dollar, pretty straightforward here. We had a really nice chart for the most of 2014. We ran up after breaking out here at the end of the year, beginning of the year. We're holding the 20 period moving average. Here's the 10 period, here the blue line, the 10 period EMA. So we could get back above that level. If that occurs, that would be negative for stocks. If we move lower, that would be positive for stocks in the short term. Looking at bonds for a moment, you may have seen this chart before of TLT versus SPX. When it moves above its short period moving average, typically that'll be a sign that we could be seeing a possible top or some consolidation in the very near future on SPX. We've seen it in the past here in late 2014 at a top here again in February, and now we see TLT continuing to move above its short-term moving average last 8 trading days. This is a chart of J and K junk bonds. We noted this ascending wedge that broke down in late February, early March. We moved down, we held the 50 period moving average, and now prices are right back above the 10 period EMA. So watch this for a risk on trade. If this continues to move higher, we could see risk on returning in junk bonds. SHYG, this is a high yield corporate bond ETF. Note that we held the 50 period. This looks better than junk. Above the 10 period EMA, we have the upper Bollinger Band to deal with, and we could back above this volume by price level. Note where slow stow is, and MACD is giving us a cross. It's back above its signal line. So this looks pretty good for a long on SHYG, the ETF. So let's take a look at the IBD50, a new list. I've ranked these by percent change so you can get an idea what looks good. And the performance of these stocks. Note that a lot of these are biotech, which, if you remember, had a bad day on Friday. Semiconductors, quite a bit. Banks, business support services, pharmaceuticals. So we can rank these by sector. Note cyclicals aren't doing that great this week. Technology is doing better, as well as healthcare. So we can sort them this way. Also, we can take a look through these as a candle glance, get a better sense of how these potential setups look. Note that many of them are pulled way away from their 20 period moving average. They're all rising, and as you can imagine, the 10 period EMA isn't shown on this. It's holding, most of these are holding the 10 period EMA, but we want a better setup in some of these names. EPAM, we pointed this out on a blog post over the weekend, holding the 20 period, moving sideways. We could see a move higher in the near future. EW broke out. This was one that we were watching for some time, finally broke out. FLTX right at the 20 period. Harman. Monster consolidating recent gains. 20 periods catching up. We had a nice little test on Wednesday. And the last part of this group, PNK, this is a new one. PRXL is back on the list. Notice how most of these are pretty far away from their 20-period moving average, so we wouldn't want to chase these. Starbucks, we're waiting for a pullback to the 10-period EMA. We posted that on Saturday, so check that post out. We'll also send out some more setups, more than likely tonight and tomorrow morning prior to the opening bell. Sherwin-Williams continues to move sideways, looking for a test of this 290 level as a breakout. Note this is one of the larger positions that Ray Dalio has. SWKS, we're looking for a pullback to the 10-period EMA. That one's likely going to just keep moving higher. And Wall, which we pointed out earlier in the week, last Sunday on a video, that we like this one as well, looking for a edge on an entry. Okay, so this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. For you new traders, be sure to check out these top 5 or 6 videos, which will give you a better edge on understanding the markets, taking setups, and where to position yourself for the highest risk reward on your trade. In addition, if you don't subscribe to the blog, this is a spam-free site. Enter your email address in here and you can get these delivered to your email every day. You'll note my tweets are here, the watch list for the week or the day. You can just scroll down through these, keeping track of the trades that we're looking at, whether they're high type flags or Bollinger Band setups. It's also a place for me to document the trades and thoughts going into the weeks. So I hope this helps. Take care. We'll talk to you on the stream on Monday.